Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcasting to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories. Following years of rhetoric and weeks of public threats, the Islamic Republic of Iran has followed through on its vow to retaliate for alleged Israeli attacks on its forces in Syria, prompting the most severe escalation between Israel, Syria, and Iran since the beginning of the Syria conflict in 2011. The 5 members of the nuclear deal with Iran, excluding the United States, are working to find ways to preserve it, following President Trump's decision to pull out of the agreement. Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei rejects Europe's hope to preserve the nuclear deal, terming London, Paris, and Berlin as vassals of the United States. Following years of rhetoric and weeks of public threats, the Islamic Republic of Iran has followed through on its vow to retaliate for alleged Israeli attacks on its forces in Syria. The military conflagration began in the early hours of Thursday, a little after midnight, when Iranian forces in Syria fired about 20 rockets at the first line of IDF outposts on the Golan Heights. Iron Dome defense batteries intercepted 4 of the rockets, while the remaining projectiles did not fall inside Israeli territory. In response, the IDF launched a broad-scale military strike against more than 50 targets belonging to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's Quds force in Syria.
איראן חצתה קו אדום. התגובה שלנו הייתה בהתאם. צה"ל ביצע תקיפה נרחבת מאוד, נגד מטרות איראניות בסוריה. בזכות היערכות נכונה של כוחותינו, גם בהתקפה וגם בהגנה, הפעולה האיראנית נכשלה. אף רקטה לא נחתה בשטח ישראל. עם ישראל גאה בצה"ל, ועם ישראל סומך על צה"ל. אנחנו נמצאים במערכה ממושכת, המדיניות שלנו ברורה. לא ניתן לאיראן להתבסס צבאית בסוריה.
During the Israeli retaliation, Jerusalem warned Damascus not to intervene. Nevertheless, Syrian anti-aircraft batteries fired dozens of missiles at the IDF fighter jets. While none of the Israeli jets were damaged, the Israeli Air Force responded by targeting 5 of the Syrian batteries that attempted to thwart the Israeli operation. Prime Minister Netanyahu emphasized that while the Israeli military operation was aimed solely at Iranian targets in Syria, if the Syrian army will act against Israeli fighter jets, Israel will have no other choice but to act against it.
אתמול העברתי מסר ברור למשטר אסד. הפעולה שלנו מכוונת נגד מטרות איראניות בסוריה. אבל אם הצבא הסורי יפעל נגדנו, אנחנו נפעל נגדו. זה בדיוק מה שקרה אתמול. סוללות של הצבא הסורי ירו טילי קרקע אוויר נגדנו, ולכן פגענו בהם.
The Israeli leader has yet again reiterated Israel's policy in which whoever seeks to attack the Jewish state will be struck 7-fold, while urging the international community to unite in preventing the Islamic Republic's ongoing efforts to entrench its forces in Syria for the purpose of attacking the Jewish state.
הקהילה הבינלאומית צריכה למנוע את ההתבססות של כוח קודס האיראני בסוריה. אנחנו צריכים להתאחד כדי לכרות את זרועות הרשע המתפשטות שלו שם ובכל מקום. אני חוזר ואומר, מי שיפגע בנו, אנו נפגע בו שבעתיים. ומי שנערך לפגוע בנו, נפעל לפגוע בו קודם לכן. כך עשינו, וכך נמשיך לעשות.
The IDF released a statement following the conflagration that it would continue to act firmly and resolutely against Iranian entrenchment in Syria. The IDF also stressed that it viewed the Syrian regime as responsible for what happened in its territory and warned it against taking action against Israeli forces. Meanwhile, Israeli Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman voiced hope that the leadership in Tehran received the message of Israel's resolve to thwart its entrenchment in Syria, while asserting that if rockets will rain in Israel, missiles will pour over Syria and Iran.
אנחנו כמובן פגענו בכל התשתיות, לא בכל, אבל כמעט בכל התשתיות האיראניות בסוריה, והם צריכים לזכור את היומרה הזאת ש אם אצלנו יהיה גשם, אז אצלם יהיה מבול, ואני מקווה שאנחנו סיימנו את הפרק הזה וכולם הבינו.
Iranian President Hassan Rouhani announced last night that his country is not interested in new tensions across the Middle East. In a phone conversation with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, the Iranian president stressed that the Islamic Republic has always aspired to decrease tension across the region and to reinforce security and stability. Nevertheless, he did not mention the conflagration with Israel in Syria. Meanwhile, Great Britain issued a statement in response to the latest escalation between Israel and Iran, condemning in the strongest term the Iranian rocket attacks against Israeli forces, while asserting that London strongly supports Israel's right to defend itself. The statement, which came after Prime Minister Theresa May spoke on the phone with her Israeli counterpart, Netanyahu, further urged the Islamic Republic of Iran to refrain from further actions which will only lead to increased instability in the region. Meanwhile, in Moscow, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov urged both Tehran and Jerusalem to resolve their problems through dialogue. In a joint press conference with his German counterpart Heiko Maas, the Russian top diplomat stressed that Russia has urged the leaderships of both countries to avoid any actions which would be mutually provoking.
Что касается эскалации между Израилем и Ираном, мы считаем, что это весьма тревожная тенденция. Исходим из того, что все вопросы нужно решать через диалог. И неоднократно в контактах с иранским руководством и с руководством Израиля, в том числе вчера на встрече президента Путина с премьер-министром Нетаньяху, мы подчеркивали необходимость избегать каких-либо действий, которые были бы взаимопровоцирующими, если хотите.
The comments by the Russian top diplomat came a day after Prime Minister Netanyahu held a meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow, after which the Israeli leader said that he believed Russia would not curtail IDF activity in Syria. Netanyahu said that the assessment that Russia, in trying to stabilize the situation in Syria, would block Israeli airstrikes beyond the border had been disproven, and there was no reason to believe that anything would change. Now back to the press conference in Moscow. Minister Lavrov further revealed that the 5 members of the nuclear deal with Iran, excluding the United States, were working to find ways to preserve it. Lavrov said it was important to keep the international agreement in place despite the U.S. withdrawal, while urging Germany, France, and Britain not to be influenced by the American decision.
Мы считаем важным, чтобы все остальные участники этого плана действий могли оперативно оценить сложившуюся ситуацию, провести необходимые консультации и выработать шаги, которые позволили бы сохранить этот важнейший документ, важнейший для региональной стабильности и для поддержания режима нераспространения оружия массового уничтожения.
The meeting between the two top diplomats came after Paris, London, and Berlin vowed to try and preserve the nuclear deal, yet voiced concern with regard to American crippling sanctions on nuclear-related activities. The European determination to remain committed to the deal, however, does not impress the supreme leader of the Islamic Republic, who asserted his distrust of France, Britain, and Germany, who he termed as vassals of the United States.
بنده از روز اول بارها و بارها گفتم با آمریکا اعتماد نکنید. هم در جلسات خصوصی این رو گفتم، هم در جلسات عمومی مردمی گفتم. حالا گفته می شود که برجام را می خواهیم با این 3 کشور اروپایی ادامه بدیم. من به این 3 کشورم اعتماد ندارم.
Thank you for watching us. Praying for the peace of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem. I'm Jonathan Hassan. Have a Erev Tov and Shabbat Shalom, and we will see you again on Monday at the same time.